All right, welcome into the Bass Legion Cast King / Neon Anchor Cave. Today I thought I haven't done a YouTube video in a minute, so I thought maybe we'd go over some of the BFS setups I've been using for the last, I don't know, couple weeks anyway. BFS is really nothing new in my opinion. People have been fishing with finesse type rods and reels for a long time, even though they didn't specifically gear stuff for bait finesse. But if you guys remember back, and this is going way back because I'm an old school guy, but Billy Westmoreland and guys like Babe Winkleman and stuff that used to fish a lot of light line spinning gear for smallmouth and stuff. So BFS is just something that I think has become a niche for people to have the bait casting reels basically. So they've got shallower spools, they can put really light line on them. The one thing I think gets lost with BFS is the size of the lures and stuff and the weight of your line. BFS is designed for something specifically for very, very, very light line. We're talking like 1.5, 2, maybe 3 or 4 pound string at the most. So I think when you get into the braid side of it and you're using, say, 8 pound braid or 10 pound braid on a BFS spool, you're kind of losing the art of BFS fishing. Um, BFS fishing, should be something where you're using your skill set to help you fight the fish. So you're using the drag on the reel, you're using, your fighting skills with the rod, um, and how you land the fish. You're not going to be boat flipping, fish on 3 pound string, that's for sure. So anyway, with that being said, if you guys don't know, my name is Keith. I run a Bass Legion / the Neon Anchor / you know fishing cave here. So we just get into it right real quick. One of the first combos we'll talk about is probably the first BFS reel I purchased, which was the Cast King Zephyr. So this was my very first specific BFS reel that I purchased. Got it, I believe, through Amazon. If I remember right, I don't think I got it off the Cast King website. I think I got it off Amazon. This is a pretty decent reel for the price point. It's a great reel if you don't want to spend a bunch of money on BFS. And I'm not a big proponent of spending $200 or $300 on reels. I don't think reels should cost more than a some sort of shooting device, if you guys know what I'm talking about. So anyway, great price point on this reel. It's around 70, $80. You can get it a little cheaper if you find some stuff on sale and stuff. But this current reel is this is 10 pound braid. This is Cast King Camel braid, I believe, is what is on here. And this is 10 pounds. So the reason I have 10 pound on this one is this is more of a reaction bait rod that I built this rod actually. So this rod is actually built by me. It is a Bass Legion Customs. It's a 84-inch rod. It's rated for 4 to 10 pound string. So it's kind of a little light action rod. And I didn't specifically design this for BFS fishing. It just happens to lend itself for me to be able to use it for BFS fishing. I love the quickness of the tip on it. I love the I spiral wrap all my guides on my baitcaster, so this has got an acid wrap on it. It's got the split grip, which I like. I've got just a Fuji ACS blank through reel seat. I love these reel seats. The reel itself performs great. I never get any. I've seen a lot of people complain about the line getting in between the spool and the main body of the reel. I've never had that happen on this particular reel. I like fishing braid on this reel. I don't necessarily like throwing fluorocarbon or anything on this reel, and I don't know if it's just because the size of this reel is a little bit bigger for a BFS reel, so it's got a little bit more stature to it versus like the Kestrel or something. But this reel itself performs great. The braking system works wonderfully. You can actually tune this thing up to where if you're throwing the right kind of bait, you can actually almost empty the spool on this, and it actually holds quite a bit of line, even in the braided size. But I love this rod for different techniques, and I'll throw all kinds of baits on this, whether it be a little chatterbait or a little jerk bait, or even a smaller crankbait, but with the action of the tip and stuff. And then I could also put a leader on it and use it for a Ned rig or something like that, or a little bit bottom bouncing bait, whether it be a small micro jig or something like that. So that's a great little first time if you're looking for a really inexpensive, budget-friendly BFS reel. The Zephyr from KastKing. It's a 7.2 to a 1 gear ratio on this. It does have a 7-ball bearing system. Super easy to tune, guys. I do like the EVA foam handles. I'm a big fan of EVA foam handles. I think they're wonderful. They take a beating. They last forever. They never chip or nothing. So, again, that is the Zephyr. And then my next combo is going to be, I guess we'll go with my second purchase for BFS, which would be the Kestrel combo. Let me get it out here. So this is my Kestrel combo, and I went with the 7'2" two-piece rod, and I realize that's a little long for BFS, but I don't do a lot of creek fishing. Creek fishing, you're probably going to want something a little shorter just because you're around a bunch of trees and overhangs and stuff like that. But I really like this reel for straight up mono or straight up fluorocarbon. I've had braid on this. I've had this reel for going on 7 months now. And braid on this reel to me doesn't perform as well as just straight mono or straight fluorocarbon. And that's just my opinion. I've had better luck with just fishing straight fluorocarbon or mono on this reel. Right now I've got this thing spooled up with 3-pound. This is Maxima fluorocarbon. So I've had this spool of 3-pound Maxima forever since I was a kid. So I happen to spool it up with this. I was throwing some little light. This is a little huddle bug I was throwing last night with it. Caught a few fish on it. So the rod itself is a 2-piece 7'2". Really nice action on this rod. It's really well built. This retails for I think around $200 with the combo. You can get it on sale for about $180 depending on the coupons and stuff. But if you check out KastKing's website, you could probably get a pretty good deal on them if you catch them on sale. But again, this rod itself to me works better, or this reel I should say, works better for me if it's spooled up with either monofilament straight or braid. Now I know I had braid on it. I had 8-pound braid on it with a leader, and there was a couple things I didn't like. For some reason, I don't know, and it could be just me. I've been using baitcaster since I was a kid, but this spool to me would spin too fast with the braid on it, if that makes sense. Even with me adjusting the brakes and the tensioning and all that, I just could never get that comfortability where I was casting it, not worrying about this thing overrunning. So if that makes sense. Ever since I've just gone straight mono or straight fluorocarbon, I can cast this thing all day and never get a backlash. So, and that's just me personally. So you might have a different experience if you pick up one of these combos. But again, it's a 2-piece rod. Love the action. It's a 7'2". So I love the length of the rod. It fights fish really well. I caught a pretty nice smallmouth last night, and you know how good they fight. So at least it was big for me here in Ohio. It's not as big as the ones I used to catch out west. But again, 7'2", 8.4 to 1 gear ratio on this reel, so it's super fast. I love this thing for all kinds of different techniques. I love to throw drop shots on it. You guys know I'm a big drop shotter. I love to throw drop shots. So great for drop shots. I like to throw little Ned heads on it, especially like little no weight baits like this little huddle bug I was throwing. Keep in mind, you're not going to have a lot of tip, and you got 3-pound string, so you're doing a lot of leaning into the fish. You're not setting the hook necessarily. You're doing a lot of just leaning into them. If you guys seen that video, Gerald Swindell talking about some of his jig fishing, you just want to lean into them because you don't want to break your line. So especially with 3-pound string. And then that's where the skill comes in, where you're using the drag system. The drag system, by the way, on this works pretty good. I got to say, it actually, you can get it to where, and it's a clicking drag. So when they're pulling drag, you hear it. It's audible, and it actually works pretty good. I haven't broke a fish off yet on this 3-pound string. Not that I'm catching any giants, but I have not broke. I've caught a couple of good ones, but I haven't broke any fish off, knock on wood. So anyway, that's the second combo, Kestrel. 8.4 to 1 gear ratio. It's got a really nice ball bearing system in it. So it comes in right or left-handed as well. So if you guys want to pick up a match combo, this one's pretty good. Like I said, it's a pretty good retail price for wanting to get into BFS and not spend $500, $600, $700 on a reel. So, or a combo, I should say. So anyway, that's the Kestrel combo. So we'll go, and again, this is on a KastKing Kestrel rod as well. So, And they do make an elite version of this. And of course, if you guys saw the new videos from iCast, they do have a new magnesium elite that came out. So it's got the rotating line guide on it. So that's the second combo. And then the third combo we're going to talk about is going to be, this is the Kestrel 1000 SE. So super nice little spinning rod or spinning reel. So it's got a really, really good gear ratio to it. It's got the braid ready spool on it. So any spinning reels, I always put braid on them. That's just the way I fish. Braid, and then I'll do a monofilament or fluorocarbon leader depending on what I'm doing. I've got a little drop shot tied on here with like a little 1/8 ounce weight with a bead, but it's on a custom made rod that I built. Now I built this rod for trout fishing when I lived out west. So it's a little over 6 feet long. I think it's 6'2". It's a one-piece rod. But it's got a really good action, and I can use it for drop shotting, throwing little, light Ned heads and stuff like that, or little tiny shaky heads. I'll throw little spinners with it and stuff like that. Little small. I got some small micro crankbaits in my bait finesse bag. So again, a great reel. About $100 price point on these. This is the KastKing Kestrel SE. It's a 1000 size reel, so it's pretty comparable to like a 500 size reel. I don't have my 500 out here. I think I got my other one over there, but it's pretty close to the 5000. And they just came out with the 1500 size magnesium spinning reel at iCast again. So, but again, this is a really great reel if you want to get into that BFS game, not spend a bunch of money. It's got a really great bearing system on it. Drag system works really good. So, and again, I've got this is 8-pound camo braid on here. This is I think this is Beyond Braid I've got on here. And then I've got a fluorocarbon leader. Again, we're running really small, light leaders. So we've got, I think this is a 5-pound Maxima on here. So again, skill set, drag system, got to use the drag. You don't necessarily get the back reel with this reel because it doesn't have an it doesn't have the control to make it wind backwards like they used to back in the day. If you guys saw the old videos, guys used to fight fish and they'd wind the reel backwards on spinning reels just to give the fish a chance to run. So again, really nice reel. So matched with a 6'2" really light action rod. So I love this combo for that. Good. This would be good. Now, say if I was going to go in the creek, I would take specifically a spinning reel. Not that I wouldn't want to take my bait casters, but you have less apt of having any accidents with a spinning reel, especially if you're walking a good distance. So in my opinion, you're going to be a lot more forgiving with a spinning reel. You're not going to get the bird's nest chances. You might get a wind knot on this, but again, I'm not saying don't take a bait caster with you, but if you're walking 2 or 3 miles away from your rig and you get back there and you got to re-spool or something, and you can always keep line with you. I always keep line with me, but again, I just think spinning reel, you get a little more forgiveness. And in my opinion, you can get in a little tighter spots with them, but that's just me personally. So anyway, Kestrel 1000 SE bait finesse reel, really nice. If you guys want to check that out, these are available at KastKing as well. And then the last combo we're going to talk about in my BFS arsenal is going to be, so this isn't a reel specifically built for BFS, but it is available so you can get the shallow spool. So what I did is I bought a KastKing Royal Legend, and they have a shallow spool option that you can get. So I've got the shallow spool installed on it. It comes with a normal spool, a deep spool, so you can use it for regular, monofilament, fluorocarbon, heavier pound tests or whatever, 10, 12, whatever you want to throw. But I've got some, again, 8-pound camo braid on here. Now, the reason I chose this reel is I could get the option of the shallow spool. B is that it's a 5.4 to 1 gear ratio. And the reason I like that gear ratio is when I'm throwing like a crankbait or like say a miniature swim bait or something like that, I want that little slow wind to the bait. So when I'm throwing it, I can keep it in contact with what I'm doing. Plus, I grew up where we did a lot of deep cranking, so we always used slower gear ratios for that. So I like to have that little slow gear ratio for throwing little light crankbaits, little light, swim baits and stuff, or even, any kind of reaction bait really. So I'm not opposed to using this for a jerk bait or even throwing a chatterbait and just reeling it really slow. I like to slow roll spinner baits. So even the little mini spinner baits like I got in my my bag here. But again, Royal Legend Pro, I believe this is a, what is this gear ratio? I can't remember if this is a 7.2 to 1 or not. I think it is a 7. I'm sorry, this is the 5.4 to 1. What am I saying? This is the 5.4 to 1 gear ratio. It's got a 5 ball bearing system. It does have a magnetic cast control on it, guys. It's actually rated for 12-pound string if you use the regular spool. So I kind of like that fact too. So I can actually just keep the spool with me with the 12-pound string on it if I want. And I can put that on here and throw a normal size crankbait. But again, I like this rod and reel combo. Again, this is built on a custom Bass Legion rod. Same action as the first rod I showed you with the with the Zephyr on it. I do have it tied with a monofilament leader here to the braid. So again, really nice reel for the BFS. If you guys want to, this is like a $60 reel too, guys. So again, you can get the BFS stuff and not spend $200, $300, $400 on a reel if you don't want to. If say you don't like it, say you don't want to do it, say you're not into the light line, say you don't, you don't have a bunch of money and invested in something that you're not going to do. It's kind of like, people that want to race RC cars and stuff. I used to do a lot of RC cars when I was a kid, and any hobby you do it gets expensive. So if you figure out you don't like it, then you've got all this money invested into it. And now you're stuck with a bunch of stuff that you got to either try and sell or recoup your investment. So again, you can get into the BFS game with very minimal spend and check it out and see if it's something you want to do. So again, that's the Royal Legend with the shallow spool option. There's a couple of other reels I think that are made that you can do that with as well. So there's some other avenues you can do overseas as well. I've seen the Spartacus 3 reel from KastKing. That's also available in shallow spool. If you can find it, they're sold out everywhere. The last thing we're going to talk about in this video is going to be my bag. So I've got this is like a little day bag. You can get these anywhere. I think I got this one off of TikTok. But it's just got basic stuff. I've got a couple of spools of line here to make leader with. I've got all my little weights and terminal tackle I keep in these little 4-way boxes. You can get these off Amazon. Nothing special. I keep all my stuff separated. This is a bag that I keep a little bit bigger hooks in, or excuse me, a box. This actually came with one of the dice baits in it, and I just used it I recycled it to put some hooks in. This has another 4-way. I've got a few little soft baits in here, but nothing crazy, guys. Just some straightforward stuff. Again, you're not going to be throwing a bunch of crazy big stuff at these fish if you're using the bait finesse technique stuff. I've got one of the little bait wraps and stuff. And then I just keep it really simple as far as hard baits. A lot of my hard baits are stuff that I used to fish for trout with. I used to do a lot of bass fishing for trout. So where I grew up, I didn't do a whole bunch of, when I'd go trout fishing, I usually tried to fish for them like I was fishing for bass because I'd have a lot more fun and I could relate better. But anyway, if I can get that back in there. Baits, I just keep it very simple. I keep one little Ziploc bag of baits in here that's got a few baits that I like to throw. I've got some miniature stuff, bait finesse stuff, smaller worms. I've got some old school Gary Yamamoto stuff, some really nice handmade swim baits, some hand poured worms. Again, my hard baits, I've got some spinners, got some really small spoons, nothing crazy. And then I've got one little box in here that holds all of my hard baits. So I've got really tiny crankbaits, really tiny, rattle traps, a few small jerk baits. Nothing crazy. Everything's really small and compact. So you guys keep that simple. Really light stuff. These reels will throw really light lures, 1/8 ounce, 16th ounce, 64th ounce if you want to. I usually keep it right around 1/8 just because I feel like I get a little better performance out of my stuff that way. And I know there's guys throwing really light stuff. So again, this is easy to keep with me. I can take it with me anywhere. I can travel with it. I keep it in the back seat of the truck. I've got a little pair of line clippers. Again, it's a sling pack, so I like being able to throw it over my shoulder. So I keep a little small set of pliers here. But again, if you're looking to get in the BFS game, guys, check out some of these reels and even the combo from the Kestrel combo if you guys are looking for something like that. But I highly recommend checking it out. It'll afford you the availability to really fight fish. I mean, you don't have to worry. Everybody's always concerned with the drag. How much drag do I have? How much drag do I have? I've never really cared about the drag on my reel until a fish started pulling drag. And how often do fish actually pull drag, especially if you're bass fishing? You don't really, all the videos you guys see, these guys, everybody's doing what's called horsing them in. I just remember as a kid, everybody used to tell me, don't horse your fishing, don't horse your fishing. Well, it seems nowadays that's what everybody does. They just horse them in, get them to the boat as fast as you can. Well, if you're using BFS, it kind of teaches you to fight the fish and use your skill set, use the drag system, pay attention to what you're doing with your line weights and stuff like that, because you got to think about something when you're, especially when you're hooking fish on 3-pound string. The first goal is to get the bite. The second goal is to hook the fish. And the third goal is to land the fish. So in that order. So if you can do that and use your equipment, you'll have a lot of fun. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys want to see more, please like and subscribe. I'll put a button down there below if you guys want to subscribe to the channel. Again, if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll reply to them. We'll see you guys on the next one.